Dad, what did you think about when Bucky showed up at Isaiah's house and we found out that...
Hold on, stop. Spoiler alert. I mean, we should at least wait until the show gets started before we ruin it for anybody that might not have watched
There's no fun in that, though.
Oh, come on.
Of the Phantom and Winter... did I say the Phantom?
The Phantom and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
You mean the Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Close enough.
Yeah.
What about you, Nate? What are you talking about?
I'm going to try to help you guys figure out all the craziness and confusion going on in the DCEU and beyond.
We don't have a long
stuff.
enough episode for all that. So.
No.
Yeah.
What about you, Dad? Is there just anything Star Wars happening?
Yeah, maybe it's something. I mean, I think somebody from Story Group actually stole an idea from one of our Phantom Menace episodes a couple of months ago.
We need money for that.
We'll have to talk about that. That's all coming after these ads that are specifically chosen for you because you weren't paying attention and you let that 4-minute ad on YouTube play all the way through. This is Tatooine Sons.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody listen to it.
Yeah, I didn't say Phantom Menace that time. So, we don't like the Phantom Menace. So, Lucasfilm Story Group stole our idea. Not really.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
I don't know.
We're just smart. We think like Lucasfilm Story Group.
Which is
so
why...
you're basically saying they should hire us because we already think like them.
Well, I mean, not hire
We're
us.
already made canon characters.
Yeah, just
so.
use us as like consultants.
Yeah. Welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of this generation and that there's a story. It's written on our souls. And that all of these myths speak to that story. And that's why we talk about Star Wars and Marvel and DC and Lord of the Rings. And are we going to talk about the Mighty Ducks series that's coming out?
I think that we got to leave some stuff for other podcasts to talk about, so we'll wait.
So I'm David. I'm the dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hi,
Joined by a couple of great knuckleheads.
Thank you.
With that, how you doing today, BB Nate?
Great. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah. Are you coming down off the Snyder Cut high?
No, I just watched a featurette that came out on HBO Max today, so I'm still.
Did you really watch? Did it come out?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Great.
What about you, Samuel Head? How are you?
I'm busy.
Busy and a little excited.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that in a minute. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate that. If this is your first time listening to the show, just know that we try to keep it positive. We try to keep it family friendly and lots of fun. So, we're going to talk about some DC and Marvel and Star Wars, which is just kind of the theme right now. Cause that's kind of dominating.
The big three?
That's our big three. Yeah. That's it. But we got another big three to talk about. We went to, we got some little mini topics that we always throw at the beginning. So
just things in our life.
Yeah. I went to Disney World the other day.
Yeah. Well, that's not uncommon for us.
I think I strained a muscle. That was fun.
How do you strain a muscle at Disney?
I don't know. I think I just have been walking so much. And so my right...
You're 16.
Sammy,
15, 16.
15. My right leg has been hurting ever since we went.
Aw, this 15-year-old's got soreness. It was there for my birthday, so we went and spent the first half of the day, most of the day at Magic Kingdom, which was fun. Space Mountain was broke down for the first half, so we had to wait for that.
It was hot.
We eventually got on it. It was a lot of fun.
That's fun.
That's my favorite.
Absolutely. And then we hopped on over to Animal Kingdom and did Expedition Everest 3 times in a row in 40 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't a long wait at all.
Basically that's like that one time in line for 40 minutes, 3 times riding it in 40 minutes.
Right.
That was cool. And then we spent about an hour at in line for Flight of Passage.
Well, we did Safari.
Yeah,
that was Safari
cool.
was really good. Time.
If you guys are ever going to Animal Kingdom, save the Safari ride for the end of the day. That's when they feed all of the animals and get to see things. We had to stop a couple of times because
there were some
were
cattle
in the
or whatever
road.
like next to us.
Yeah, you know the Texas Longhorn type thing?
Kind of looked like that.
Those horns were bigger than the Texas
They were
Longhorn.
freaky.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So, and then BB Nate, you've had a busy week.
I did.
What have you been doing this week?
I had driving lessons, which was fantastic, I guess. It was nerve-wracking and just a lot of...
You didn't die.
I did not die. I almost crashed once, but that was also kind of the driving instructor's fault as well. It was a perfect storm of
Why haven't I
bad
heard
stuff.
this yet?
You have. Basically, he was like, go, and then other cars got a green light, and they started going, and then he's like, wait, but I was already going, and then he grabbed the wheel and pressed his brake, and then it was just a combination of a lot of things.
So you finished your official driving lessons.
I did.
Now it's just about practicing in the car.
Yes, and it wasn't too difficult. I was complimented by a guy who used to be a test examiner that I was a good driver. So.
Oh, wow.
Good job, Nate.
Good job, BB Nate.
I didn't get that.
Sam, you've got a busy weekend coming up.
Yeah, very last minute. So,
by the way, before we announce this, he's just abandoning us.
Basically.
So
last minute, I'm flying up to Alabama, and I'm going to join my girlfriend Savannah for some prom festivities.
Help me understand this, because she's already graduated from high school. She's in college. You're in college. How are you guys doing?
So
prom
we're not
festivities?
actually doing the actual prom dance itself. We can't get in. If we had done this process early enough, we could have gotten tickets and we could have gotten in.
Wow.
If you're under 21. But since this was literally thought of like
yesterday,
last night, we're not going to get to go to that. But a bunch of her brother and a bunch of kids are doing like dinner and pictures before, and then afterwards at her house they're doing a party, and the guys are gonna have a sleepover there and stuff. So we're gonna join in on that. We're gonna get all dressed up, we're gonna take the pictures, and we'll just do everything but the dance essentially.
So it's kind of like what they did on Big Bang Theory when they went back in time and did the
basically. Well, we won't actually have like a fake dance on the roof either, but it'll be fun.
It's kind of hard because their
show.
roof is slanted really bad, and that would be weird.
I mean, we could try and make it work.
You could do a fake dance maybe at the no, you can't do that. So anyway, yeah.
But I have to get up at like 4-ish in the morning.
And by the way, he would not get up at 4 a.m. for anything except for his girlfriend
or
Not
Star Wars
true.
Celebration
or movies or anything pop culture. So there you are, Savannah. You were right there with pop culture, just so you know that. And on that note, I'm canceling my trip to Bama.
It's a high compliment, Savannah. He treats you the same as his pop culture.
Yeah,
obsession.
That's cool. Awesome. Well, we should probably talk about some of the stuff that people came to listen for. Thanks for enduring us. I hope that you have a good time listening to us geek out about some things. But anyway, Sam, you go first.
Yeah. So episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is out, and in typical Tatooine Sons fashion, we're going to spoil it all and speculate as responsibly as we can.
There's a lot to speculate about in this one.
We finally learned the name of Erin Kellyman's character.
Yeah.
There could have been another Captain America this whole time.
What?
And Sam and Bucky go to couples therapy.
No, it was so sweet.
That's all next.
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets. You're coming to us. Is as the footsteps of doom.
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
Carl was the casting, so I kind of had a little bit of
But not John Walker.
Such a good movie.
John Walker was better. Yeah, we'll talk about that. So,
yeah, I mean, okay, so this episode started off with like seeing John Walker like not as Captain America, and they kind of like showed him like he was a normal dude. Like I don't know, I can't speak for y'all, but I kind of started feeling for him. Like he's just a soldier who was picked, and he's trying his best. He's nervous, right? He's trying to live up to this mantle of Cap, and he's like nervous. I'm like, oh, I kind of feel for this guy. Maybe all the harsh treatment wasn't necessary.
I think that, that opening sequence before we get to the credits and all of that was designed to help you. It was almost a redemption from everything that's happened in the past week because,
right.
because the memes have been glorious.
They have.
in the last
it's
week,
been
and we've
so
shared
good.
them. And some people are like, "You got to give the guy a chance" and all that. Yeah, I know, I get it. They intentionally made him look like a buffoon in that last episode to create this buzz around that character, and then tease us with
With
maybe
the title of this episode, it was just to bring us in. A
Star
Star-Spangled Man.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
That was
With a
mean,
plan.
Marvel. But I mean, like later on, we see him like talking to like Bucky and Sam in the back of the Jeep thing, and he was saying like he's not trying to replace Steve. He's trying to be the best Captain America he can be. So like, I think that's a fair mindset for him to take. Like, he's not going to be able to replace Steve. Steve is a one of a kind. He's what made the Captain America Captain America.
Yeah.
He's just trying to do what he can for the character. And I mean, they showed that B-roll footage on Good Morning America and stuff, and we saw him fighting those flag smashers on the truck.
Stop though. What a product placement.
Oh,
Good
for real.
morning.
Come on,
Disney's like,
Barry.
yeah, let's throw in there some Good Morning America commercials in there. Ratings haven't been great right now, so it's yeah. Anyway, I thought that was fun.
Right. But like, he was good with the shield. We saw him like doing stuff, and like didn't they say he was tested by like MIT or something, and he's got like genius level intellect, not genius, but he's super smart, like has like a perfect
High endurance and everything.
right, like
Yeah,
strong.
he looked like the real deal when he started fighting.
Yeah, and he was good with that shield too. Like
Yeah.
in such short amount, I think they said it was like 2 weeks or something, and he was already like that proficient with the shield. But like when he was fighting those flag smashers on the ship with his friend or whatever, he quickly got overwhelmed just because he's not enhanced. That's just the morals. You can be as strong as you can like that. You're just not strong enough to fight those people. And he got overconfident, right? He threw that shield to save his friend. And he's like, oh yeah, I got this. And then he got kicked off the truck, right? And at the end, we see him kind of like this whole fame and stuff with this title of Captain America and all this love. It's kind of getting to his head, right? Because Bucky and Sam are like, we can't work with you. You guys have too much rules and stuff. We need to do this on our own. And he's like, okay, then just stay out of my way. So now we're seeing the John Walker that we're familiar with in the comics. In the beginning, he was kind of almost a likable character. You're like, oh, okay, I can kind of, he's no Steve, but I don't hate him. Now you're like, okay, this guy's getting too big for his britches. So Dad, now that we've seen his character do more than just like a wink, what do you think about the character in general so far? Now that we've gotten some of his motivations and backstory.
There's that, this will be a dad moment. There's that phrase.
Early, okay.
Yeah, we're in there. It power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. This kid, he's the star of the high school football team. We see that. He's the super soldier. That's, honestly, it seems like a great guy.
Yeah.
Seems like a guy that's,
Stand up dude.
Yeah, dove on grenades 4 times with covering him up with his helmet. He's got some trick that he was like, I'll explain it some other time, or that's that type of thing.
He has the most Medal of Honor.
Yeah, like 4 medals of honor.
But then you get this fame, and remember the reason they chose Steve in the first Avenger. It was because of his heart.
Yeah.
It was because he was good, and the professor or the scientist, I can't remember what his name is.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
It's played by anyway. He specifically says, promise me that you're going to stay good, through this. So I think that what we're going to see is that the weight of the mantle, which is what we talked about a lot last week as well, the weight of the mantle of being Captain America is going to be more than John Walker can handle. And this is exactly what Sam is afraid of. And it's why he sees the temptation, and what maybe it's more than just, I can't live up to the hype. Maybe I'll not be good. As like Steve is, with that. So anyway,
that's a good point. Nate, so we've already seen more interaction between Sam and Bucky and John Walker than at least I anticipated in this whole series. What do you and all so early too, second episode? What do you think the dynamic between these characters is going to look like looking forward?
I think that we've got to put into account that there are only 4 episodes left
Wow.
So there's not much. We don't have a lot. This is going to be, they don't describe it as a TV series anymore. It's a miniseries? They haven't even described it as that in commercials anymore. It's a 6-episode event. Mm-hmm. So they're making it seem like it's a movie that was put into a series form.
Okay.
So I think that we're going to be seeing more interactions, more conflict, but nothing that he won't become a reoccurring character in this series. I think he'll just be maybe in the final 2 episodes or appear in a couple episodes here and there, but nothing too serious. I think it's more going to be about the Flag Smashers because they are the main villains.
Yeah, and then we were introduced to John's friend, sidekick, his Bucky character, essentially.
Yeah.
We found out his code name is Battlestar
Galactica.
So I'm writing the notes. I'm like, all right, I gotta figure out who this guy is. So I looked it up, and he worked with U.S. Agent in the comics as a sort of Bucky character. And interestingly enough, both U.S. Agent and Battlestar got their enhancements, their powers, from the Power Broker, which we heard talked about at the end.
No way.
Yes.
All right, so explain the Power Broker to me.
Basically, the Power Broker is this corporation that gives paying customers enhancements or abilities and stuff. So what they do is like they usually, like, as part of the treatment, give their customers like highly addictive drugs. And it's not to help the treatment, it's to keep them under their thumb.
Yeah,
and then the Power Broker will use them to, like, do stuff for him, basically. So now we know that
Theory time.
Is this a speculate responsibly moment?
Yes. So, Nate.
Yeah.
And one more thing before I ask you this question. In the comics, Battlestar uses a triangular shield made of adamantium.
Whoa.
Oh.
X-Men.
Nate, so with this whole Power Broker thing, do you think we could see Walker and Hoskins go, like, rogue at one point and, like, leave the service? Because that's when they got their powers in the comics. It was after leaving service they went to the Power Broker. Do you think they could go rogue at one point and go to the Power Broker to get abilities and then eventually start hunting the Flag Smashers for the Power Brokers? Because it seems like
they're opposed to each other. They're on opposite sides.
So do you think we could see them working for the Power Broker?
I think we see them. This is, of course, my speculation. I think we actually see John Walker and Hoskins go to the Power Broker for abilities before they leave the service.
Okay.
I feel like John Walker will be like, I don't have any powers. I'm not good enough to be Captain America. I'm not good at this point. And so he'll go to him and be like, give me the abilities that Captain America has, because the Flag Smashers do.
Right.
High endurance, super strength, all of this stuff. And so he'll get those powers, and then he'll have to do stuff for the Power Broker, and there'll just be this conflict between government and all of this stuff. And
love it.
Yeah, I think John will think that Captain America, he was Captain America because of his strength and his abilities, not his heart. So he's going to do everything he can to try and be like that physically, but won't change anything emotionally. Yeah. Dad, so I'm starting to see a sort of, with this John Walker Hoskins thing, I'm starting to see a sort of like a mirror Cap and Bucky thing going on, like a bizarre Cap and Bucky. Do you think we could eventually see a showdown between Falcon and Winter Soldier and U.S. Agent and Battlestar?
I think it's inevitable that we see this showdown. What's that?
I am inevitable.
Oh, is that a thing? Yeah, that's my Thanos. So that's a Marvel. So with MCU.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, it works.
Absolutely. And I think that you guys nailed it on the head when you said that Steve or John Walker is going to put too much emphasis on Steve's superpowered abilities and not enough emphasis on the goodness within Steve. And he's going to, I think he's going to see that the Power Brokers are in opposition to the Flag Smashers, and he needs to stop the Flag Smashers, and he can't do it. So he goes and he takes these enhancements, and they both do, which I love this idea. And then that's when Sam and Bucky have to step in and put an end to these guys.
Mm-hmm. And that's probably when they take the shield, because at that point, like at the beginning of the episode, Sam was like, I can't just go and like tell the government, hey, I changed my mind. I'd like to be Captain America now. I think once like John shows that he's not who he is supposed to be, they can take that shield from him. And then we finally got Erin Kellyman's character, Carly Morgenthau. I think I'm pronouncing that last name right. In the comics, that flag smasher is actually Carl Morgenthau. So they did a bit of a gender flip. So it's Carly Morgenthau, but she is flag smasher. We have that for sure. But in the comics, flag smasher is actually not powered. So they're changing that up a bit too. Motivations are the same though at this point. They want to rid the world of national rule. Obviously, the reasons are a bit different. In the comics, the blip wasn't the motivation, but that's still, they're still playing off of that. And then we talked about like it seems like this whole group of flag smashers at one point got their powers from the power broker, and it looks like maybe they didn't hold up their end of the deal or something, and now they're like,
I liked the understanding the motivations of the flag smashers.
I do too. It's almost like you can side with them just barely, but they're also like terrorists. So
and Erin Kellyman is just a fantastic actress.
She really is.
It was a lot of fun.
She's got more lines in this than I think she had in Solo. And then we got Isaiah Bradley. Like, in the comics, his character is literally called the Black Captain America.
Did you hear how they teased and joked about that?
Yeah.
That you're the Black Falcon? Or no. They called him the Black Cap. What they call him?
They called Falcon. Hey, you're the Black Falcon.
He's like, am I?
That's right.
Are you Black Kid? Like, I'm just Falcon.
Right.
And then and then immediately, like 2 minutes later, Sam calls him Black Captain America.
Yeah.
So, but it was an interesting, like.
So is that a character in the comics?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's got a similar story. Him and 300 other like African Americans were experimented on to be like to create the super soldier serum. Only he survived. He was sent over into Europe to actually hunt a Hydra scientist formulating it. In this, he was sent to fight Bucky. But he was sentenced to prison for like treason in the comics and stuff. So the same thing happened here. Basically, there's been a whole Captain America out there this whole time, and nobody's known about it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then we can't talk about this without Bucky and Sam. Obviously, well, they finally are back together at this point. Like,
yeah, can I just say something that felt really weird? That whole introduction.
Oh yeah, all of a sudden he was just there.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, that was
did
weird.
Feel a little out of place.
It's like a scene got cut.
It's like a whole scene was just empty because then where he's going off and Bucky's there. It felt really weird.
It did feel a bit disjointed. I do agree with that. But regardless, they're finally working together, and Bucky's upset at Sam. He's like, you threw away the shield. This was not the right thing to do. They've just put some clown up there as Cap. He's pissed. But they eventually like go off to like do this mission or whatever, find these flag smashers. And eventually they work with John Walker and stuff. And it's safe to say that neither of them like John Walker or Battlestar right now, which I guess they've got that going for them. But they go to therapy at one point because Bucky missed his therapy. So he was arrested. They put him in handcuffs, of course. They put the Winter Soldier, or should we say the White Wolf, in
that was awesome.
In handcuffs for some reason. But then, as like stipulation for him to get let out again, they had to do one session before they went off on this mission, and Sam was included. So basically, they had this whole like therapies or couples therapy.
It was awesome.
So funny. We finally got that like back and forth banter between Sam and Bucky. But all jokes aside, they really do not like each other. Like,
no, and I think that's what we were picking up on in the last episode when we were talking about it is, the frenemies thing is almost too kind to suggest that they don't trust each other, they don't like each other, and they've worked together because an apocalyptic event can do that. It'll cause you to put aside some differences in order to do that. But in this case, they don't want to be around each other at all.
And yeah, so I mean, do you think that in the end, Dad, it'll be this? The only thing they have in common is Steve, really. Do you think in the end it'll be this respect for something bigger than themselves, this icon of Captain America that will ultimately bring them together?
I think that they're going to learn to respect each other first. I think they do respect each other. I think they respect each other's abilities and things like that. I think that respect is going to grow their friendship together because they've not really fought together side by side in a way where they were dependent on each other for their lives. That's going to happen in this series. And they're going to that's what's going to bring them together. And again, I don't know if we talked about it on the previous episode or not. We might have, but I know we talked about it afterwards. I think that Captain America becomes Bucky and Sam going forward.
This joint.
The two, and I think we did talk about that.
Yeah. So. Good stuff.
Yep.
So while things are still being set up in the series, it certainly feels like this is going to be a really exciting ride. And it's safe to say that I'm hooked on this series. I don't know about y'all, but definitely. I cannot wait for next Friday. But make sure to tune into the Falcon and Winter Soldier next Friday.
Before our show.
Yes, because we will spoil it.
Yep.
And to see if any of our wild speculations actually happen. Spoiler alert, they probably won't.
No, they never do.
Nate, what are you talking about?
So I'm going to be talking about, so after Zack Snyder's Justice League, you might be wondering, where does DC go from here? Well, it's more complicated than that, but I'm here to answer some of those questions and more. So buckle up, because this is going to get very confusing.
It is already confusing. And that's all coming after these ads personally chosen for you because you filled out that survey at Comic-Con and you've been spammed by that company for 3 years. This is Tatooine Sons.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
Batman has no limits.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and there was like the only thing on my Twitter feed when I finally after a couple hours of doing stuff, I opened up Twitter and it was like, we're at 1.38 million tweets. We've got 2 hours and stuff like that. So
good.
Do you know where they got to?
They finally, so they were at 1.4 and they had 20 minutes left and they got to 1.5 5 minutes before the deadline ended.
So it's the most tweeted film in a 24-hour period
most
of all
tweeted
time.
thing that had to do about movies of all time.
Of all time.
Wow.
Was restore the Snyderverse. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, awesome.
So we're just going to be talking about what's the future for DC and the DCEU.
I don't know if they know what the future is.
I don't even know if I know, and I know more about DC than you guys. So we're just going to be talking really about the next couple of years, and there's not much. It's not like Marvel, where it's just so much content. So this August, we're getting The Suicide Squad, not to be confused with Suicide Squad. And the description is supervillains Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, and a collection of cons at Bel Rev Prison join the super secret, super shady Task Force X, where they are heavily armed and dropped off at the remote enemy-infused island of Corto Maltese.
Okay.
That is a mouthful. Very big.
Did you guys watch the trailer that came out this afternoon?
I did.
I didn't even know it came out.
It came out today. What'd you think about it, BB?
I was nerding out, honestly.
You liked it?
It looks really good, actually.
I hated it.
It looks a lot of fun.
It looks so stupid. I'm sorry.
It just looks
horrible.
It looks hilarious. I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay, so we're also
sell me on it.
Sell you.
There we go.
We have Starro, who's just a gigantic Godzilla-sized starfish with a giant eye that does telepathic powers. So there you go. You should be sold on it already.
There's a giant starfish monster.
It's
Sam.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm sold.
It's so cool.
We need Starro in Kong versus Godzilla.
He's gonna be the one that He's gonna be like Mechagodzilla.
He's gonna be like the Doomsday in Batman v Superman.
Yeah. Let's just figure this out. How does this fit into DC or the DCEU?
It doesn't.
You know, this question, we're going to be touching on this for the movies. It's really difficult to answer. It's kind of a sequel and a soft reboot of the past Suicide Squad movie set in the DCEU. And we don't know if it's going to be connected to Birds of Prey or any other DC movie for that matter. So it's kind of just its own, but not really. And I don't know how to explain it any
And that's
better
a criticism that I have of the DCEU. Because in the Marvel universe, the films, and even in Star Wars, where, you know, like, this, I mean, we've talked about it before, sequel trilogy. You've got JJ doing his thing, and then you got Ryan doing his thing, and then JJ went back and did his thing again, and they didn't have sort of a cohesive, I think everybody knows, they didn't have a cohesive, coherent storyline running through all three films when they were planning it, but still they fit. They were in the same universe.
Yeah.
And they worked together. There may have been some things that people didn't like about directions, but they still were the same story. DC is just all over the map.
And I'm just going to give you one thing. And this is what, if you get into this argument with any other DC fan, this is the one word they're going to say. Multiverse. Because you can use that excuse anywhere and it can fit in because these are just different
so it's basically, you know, the world between worlds thing that everybody's like, they want to reboot the sequel trilogy, so let's just have a world between worlds and they can go back and do it all over again and all that. I mean, but I don't think that makes for good storytelling. I'm just going to be honest.
It's an excuse for lazy writing.
It has pros and cons. It allows creative making and the freedom of that, but it also is like, for the casual fans, this is confusing.
It's all in how you use it. You can use it to tell interesting stories, like the Marvel What If that's coming out. That could be multiverse or something, right?
That's a Spider-Verse.
Right. But if you use it as an excuse for, or as like to make up for you messed up, that's just poor writing.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's for that yet or not. But
and MCU's going into a multiverse driven story. But the multiverse is still coordinated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're going to be very careful on how they.
And they could all tie this up with the movie we're talking about in a little bit.
Okay.
But what does this mean for DC? It doesn't mean much. It could just be, you know, a fun DC movie, and it really has no importance to a larger story. It's really just a solo DC movie that they're putting.
Just a bunch of villains fight a giant.
Kind of like Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
was just a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Birds of Prey. So, Dad, you never saw Suicide Squad.
I didn't. Did you, Sam?
No.
Okay.
We've expressed that Birds of Prey was not our cup of tea.
I hated that
That's
movie.
one way to put it.
I'm just going to be nice. Are you interested at all to see this movie?
Man, I'm shocked that you liked that trailer.
I've got to see this trailer.
So now I'm sitting here going, I don't know. Maybe I just missed something. Because I watched it and I just put out a one-word tweet. And people were like, immediately knew what I was tweeting about. No hashtag.
What'd you say?
Meh.
Yeah.
I just went meh. Like that. And people were like, oh, so you watched the Suicide Squad trailer.
Ouch.
I was. And then other people that like responded went back and watched it. And they're like, I love this. I'm so excited about this. And now you're saying it. I'm like, what, did I miss it?
Like,
it just might
like
be
the beginning part where they're like trying to break Harley Quinn out and she's behind them. They're like,
there were some funny moments.
That is HarleyQuinn's character.
All right. I want to get Sam's thoughts.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I have no clue. I need to watch the trailer.
Okay.
Here's what I think though.
Okay.
Or do you have a question for
No,
me?
no.
Okay. I think that this feels like, and for more reasons than one, that DCEU wanted to have a Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yeah, a little bit.
That would explain
And they brought
a
in
lot.
James Gunn, and that's what they're trying to do.
It's a band of misfits who don't work well
But
together.
the thing is somebody's like, this is going to have the highest main character death toll of any superhero movie. There's like 10 or 12 super villains on the team.
You know, the only reason, I mean, this is going to get really dark for a second.
That's DC. We're fine.
Can we just kill off all the characters in one movie and just see what happens?
Rogue One.
What's that?
Rogue One?
Yeah, let's do that in the DC. So
And
anyway.
you know, that's Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. They literally do that.
Okay, cool. All right, we got lots of other stuff to talk
Next,
about.
we're going to the movie I am I don't know. I'm really pumped for this movie. The Batman, it's coming out. It was supposed to come out this year, but I'm not going to get into that. It's coming out next year in March. Maybe you could see it for your birthday, Dad.
I'll watch that.
The plot revolves around the hunt for a serial killer, the Riddler most likely, who murders wealthy Gotham residents, as well as Batman's discovery of a deep conspiracy reaching far back into Gotham's history and potentially involving his own parents.
Okay. I know very little about DC and very little about Batman, but that sounds a lot like Court of Owls to me.
It does. Good job there, Sam.
I did it.
How do you know you read that?
I read that issue, that comic.
This is most likely going to be taken from a lot of different comic books and even the Telltale game series where their parents were actually evil and that's how they got their money. And so Bruce Wayne decided to go his own different direction and try to save Gotham. But this is how it might go. We might just see that Bruce Wayne's parents were a part of the Court of Owls, and the Court of Owls hired Riddler to expose the history of these high-end, rich boys.
Rich boys.
And how does this fit into DC or the DCEU? It does not. Nothing with the DCEU. This is a complete...
So this is even more disconnected than... What is it? Birds of Prey. I call it Harley Quinn.
This is like Batman Begins disconnected.
Yeah, it's
just
own,
its own thing.
It's starting its own universe. It might be loosely connected to the Joker movie. We're not sure quite yet. It's been kind of talked about and rumored and all this stuff. But there will also be a prequel spin-off show coming the year before.
On HBO Max?
It's coming on HBO Max called GCPD, The Rise of Gotham's Villains.
When does that start? When does that premiere?
We're not sure.
Okay.
It's probably going to premiere after the movie comes out next year.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be set in year 1, though. The movie's set in year 2 of Batman's career. So,
interesting.
So really early. And what does this mean for DC? A lot. Actually, if you're that's surprising, it means that they're expanding their horizons and trying new things past the DCEU, which they haven't really done in a long time. So, Sam, what are you most excited for in this movie?
You know, I've always been a fan of the character of Batman. And I'm excited because this looks like they're going to take a different spin on it where it's going to be more detective based. Batman Begins, you can argue with me all you want. You can say it was detective, but it didn't feel detective at all. You've got Ben Affleck's Batman, which is more of the superhero Batman, which I liked. But I'm excited because this looks like a gritty crime film Batman. I think it's going to be really fun.
It was confirmed that this is going to be a lot more detective based. This is going to be a detective film, not a superhero film.
Okay.
It is also, the director was like, I took a lot of inspiration for the tone and the style of this film from Zodiac and Seven.
Interesting.
We haven't seen Zodiac yet, but we watched Seven recently.
He's like the serial killer and the detective aspects from Seven and also Zodiac. He's like, I took a lot of inspiration from those to make this movie.
Very exciting.
A cat and mouse almost.
Yes, it is going to be a very cat and mouse. Ooh. They also might be bringing in the Long Halloween because we saw a Valentine's Day card. Murder happens every holiday of a specific person. We saw a Valentine's Day card, which was really exciting. Now we're moving on to the movie that Sammy's probably the most excited about, The Flash. Solo movie with Ezra Miller. The description, this one's really long. The Flash meets Batman in parallel dimensions. All right, that's it.
We had news about that this week. A couple things, didn't we?
Yeah, we had the casting announcement for Barry Allen's dad, the recasting.
Which I'm not a fan of. I liked Barry Allen's dad.
Well, he left because of all the stuff going on with DC and stuff. But the new person that they got, is not terrible. He looks a lot like him, and he's kind of a comedian, so it should work with the vibe that we had. Also, his mother was casted, I forget her name. Helen Allen, I think? No, I don't remember her name. But
whose mother?
Barry Allen's mother.
I thought she was dead.
Exactly. We might be seeing the flashback. Flashpoint, maybe. Dad will get that one because we watched the animated movie.
Yeah, I did.
It's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
How does this fit into DC and the DCEU? This is where it gets so confusing because
it wasn't already?
Flash can time travel.
We saw that.
We did, which was like probably the coolest moment in all of superhero cinema. I'm going to just say.
Wow. BB Nate just doubling
let's
down on
dial
that.
it back just a little bit.
I'm just saying. We're not sure. This movie is going to be all about time travel and different multiverse and dimensions. So we'll just have to see where it goes. Iris from Zack Snyder's Justice League was cast, which is big because that might reinstate the Snyderverse, or if they want to. It's also just a lot of different things. This is the one that could tie up the DCEU. This is one where they can just mention everything and just kind of make it feel better. And so we don't know who the main villain is going to be.
They're there, DC fans. They're there.
We don't know who the villain's going to be. A lot of people say it's going to be Reverse Flash or Professor Zoom.
Hold on, what?
Yeah, his other.
Let's hope it's Reverse Flash.
Well, his main name actually in the comics is Professor Zoom.
No, we're not calling him
It sounds like somebody that's like a teacher right now during COVID.
Here you know, you can just say this. They also just call him Zoom, which is also
Zoom's
fine.
better.
Yeah, but Zoom's, I don't know if that can happen. So.
What does this mean for DC? Again, a lot. This decides the fate of the DCEU and the Snyderverse. It really is just the most important movie to come out for DC in the next 4 or 5 years. Also, really recently, Jim Lee was just named head of DC, which means he will be the Kevin Feige or Feige. Feige.
Okay.
Of DC. Which means he's going to be looking over the TV shows, games, comics, movies, all this stuff. And he actually wrote out the storyboards for Justice League 2 and 3 with Zack Snyder recently.
Yeah, that to me is very telling. With what's happened with Restore the Snyderverse and the excitement over Justice League
and the
Snyder
rumor,
Cut.
There's a heavy rumor that came out yesterday that Zack Snyder received a call from Warner Brothers when the hashtag reached 750,000.
And then it doubled.
Sam, I know that you're excited for this movie, maybe a little bit, but what are you looking forward to the most? Are you looking forward to this time traveling, Michael Keaton Batman? Maybe.
I mean,
Right.
I loved the character of Flash in Zack Snyder's Justice League. The character itself was fun, so I'm excited to see that. But I'm really interested by this idea of seeing other Batmans, him traveling to see these different Batmen in different points of time in different universes. That sounds really interesting to me. I think they can do something with this movie that's not only different in DCEU, but different in movies in general. Time travel has happened a lot in movies. Let's just be honest. Endgame did it. So they've got to be careful not to make it feel like Endgame, where they just go back to different points in time that are iconic. They've got to make it feel original to DC, but still.
But the multiverse could do that. The insanity of all of this could, like you were saying, it could put it all together.
Right.
And so if he's going into all these other timelines, then suddenly they're all connected by the Flash. And you can sort of start kind of like a reboot.
When this movie was first announced, it was announced that it was going to be taking heavy inspiration from the Flashpoint animated movie and comic.
Which was really good.
It was really good.
Never saw it.
Except it was going to have the father of Bruce Wayne from Batman v Superman playing old Thomas Wayne. But he backed out because, again, the craziness with DC. So
he's missing out.
So his Batman might be replaced by Michael Keaton's Batman during this. And so we still might see the vision of Flash going back, saving his mother. That's how we see his mother. And then Reverse Flash just toying with everything. But that means it'll be a very dark movie for live action. This is going to be coming out sometime next year. We don't have an exact date, but probably summer for a big blockbuster superhero movie. And then we're getting one which actually a lot of people are excited for, Aquaman 2. Is
that sarcasm?
Actually, no, a lot of people are excited for this.
okay.
A lot of people really loved the first movie.
Okay.
The description is probably the most interesting one that we will get from this whole thing. The further adventures of Aquaman.
I'm sold. Can I buy my tickets right now?
This is literally all we know.
So, in other words, they don't know what it's about.
No, they're just not releasing what it's going to be about yet.
They may not have even started filming.
Yeah,
this yet,
it's just it's coming
there's
out
so much out there
late next year around the Christmas, like it did for the first Aquaman. This probably takes place after the first Aquaman, which we still really don't know where that fits in.
Good Lord.
It's probably it's after Justice League, yet it's the whole it's weird. It fits better after Zack Snyder's Justice League than the original one, which is apparently canon. Because right at Zack Snyder's Justice League, he says, I gotta go see my dad. The beginning of Aquaman is him seeing his dad. So that's the weird thing that's going on. And what does this mean for DC? Again, not much like the Suicide Squad. It doesn't mean much. It will probably be its own story and not have much to do with the bigger story or like Flash and the Batman changing what's going to be happening. I'm going to ask you this. I'm not going to ask, did you like the first Aquaman movie? Because we know this answer. But what did you like about the first Aquaman movie? I'm going to go with Dad.
Oh, I think that it was a beautiful film. And I think it was fun. It was a fun film. I just think that it was a storyline that was utterly predictable because it was the Arthurian legend played out underwater in DC.
Yeah.
And so, instead of the sword and the stone, it was the trident.
And then we had Pitbull doing Africa.
Oh, yeah. I blocked that one out.
Yeah, so it was a fine film, and I know it was really, really popular. I understand that.
I should probably do a second rewatch.
I would like, yeah. Maybe we can watch that this weekend.
Maybe.
So
I'll pass.
No, you got to go see About a Girl.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see About a Girl.
Dad stole my thing. Visually, it really did something pretty extraordinary. I mean, the visuals underwater were so colorful and so bright, and there were so many things happening. It looked phenomenal. I can't really say much about the rest of the film because I honestly don't remember much. I think Ocean Master was kind of cool.
Ocean Master was a cool bad guy. I liked his character, but I don't know. So, as you can tell, there are some fantastic movies coming out very soon, but it's also very confusing. But, that's not all of them. We also have...
Yeah, what about Shazam, the best DC movie ever made?
We also have Black Adam, which Pierce Brosnan was just cast as Dr. Fate, which is a fantastic casting choice. We have Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Helen Mirren was just casted as Hespera, which is also very exciting. A New Gods movie.
What the heck is that?
What?
A New Gods.
A New Gods. This is the most exciting one for me because this is going to be telling this probably the origin story of Darkseid.
No way.
Okay. New Gods is all about that. Jack Kirby's New Gods is so cool. And some very, very exciting animated movies coming out this year.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about DC animation because it's fantastic stuff.
It's so good. We're getting Long Halloween, which is very exciting. And all of those are actually already in production and are coming out in the next 2 to 3 years. So that's exciting.
I think it might turn into a DC universe. We're all just living in it. So
let's hope.
We'll see. They're going to have to steal a lot of thunder from Marvel.
They've done a pretty good job.
And they've already done that today.
That's fair.
Well, last December's announcement of the Acolyte series has lots of us asking questions about the High Republic, and thank the maker. We have Cavan Scott to bring us some answers. Did the author of a new Star Wars book listen to our show before writing a very interesting comment about Qui-Gon Jinn? And Dr. Afra stumbles upon the Nihil in a recently released issue. And that's all going to come after these ads that were personally chosen for you because you misspelled shoes on your browser and things got kind of weird. This is Tatooine Sons.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
Yeah, so I just asked on Twitter because in the last segment we were trying to figure it out. What's the plural of Batman? Is it Batmen or is it Batmans? Sam, what do you think?
I think it's Batman, but that's...
You can't, because then Bat becomes an adjective referring to the men instead of part of the title.
It's not in the first place?
No, it's not. Batman is a title.
No, Batman's Batman. He's literally a guy dressed up like a bat.
No, but his title is Batman.
Nate, you're the expert.
And it's one word. Look at it.
It's just Batman. There's only one
No, what if
Batman.
No, there's not. That's what we were just
There
talking
is.
about on Flash. There's Batmans.
Oh.
So how many, what would the plural be?
Batman.
No, because then
Yes.
that's no. So you guys, I know what you're thinking, but I think you're
Well,
wrong
it could
on
be
All right.
Batman's as well.
All right,
If
let's
it's-
talk about
if
some.
It's weird.
My man's
if it's
wrong.
a group title, then it would be the Batman.
All right.
But it's Batman's if it's talking about
Let's talk some Star Wars.
Batmans.
All right, Cavan Scott. He was. We interviewed Cavan at Celebration in 2019.
Cool
He's got
dude.
the
He's
coolest so
voice.
awesome.
He does have a cool voice.
Yeah, he's fun to listen to. We'll listen to him in a second here. Cavan Scott was interviewed by Kofi Outlaw from comicbook.com this week. They talked a lot about Cavan's new book, The Rising Storm, which is part of the High Republic series, obviously. It's being released at the end of June.
The end of the June?
At the end of the June. You can pre-order it through a link in the show notes if you want it and help out a Star Wars or to
At
pop culture podcast.
TatooineSons.com.
At that or in the show notes. But honestly, it's a great interview. You should check it out. There was a fun little nugget that I want to focus on. It came at the end of the interview when Kofi asked Cavan about whether the newly announced Disney Plus series, The Acolyte, impacted anything going on with the planning of the High Republic initiative. Here's what he had to say.
No, because I think we predated that.
Okay.
Because we've been working on this for a good number of years now. So what happened was that, people were getting excited about the High Republic as we were creating it, which was great to see, and there have been all these other plans as well. But the great thing that Star Wars is so good at taking this thing's being worked on over here, this thing's being worked over on here, so let's bring it together. And yeah, I mean, the High Republic as an era goes on for an awful long time. Because, it is that period of time before the fall of the Jedi. And so yeah, no, it's been really exciting to sort of see other threads of Star Wars coming in as they've been developed as well, and to see us all working together to get to those final points. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting few years ahead.
All right, so BB Nate, is The Acolyte going to end up being a separate story taking place at the end of the High Republic era, or will it be the conclusion of that storyline? What do you think?
I think it'll just be a story at the end of the High Republic era. I don't know if that's. I mean, it's a show. People will watch it.
Yeah,
but, I don't. No. I think that people will be confused if it's the end of an era. So they'll be mentioning all of these things because all of these people, if they don't mention the stuff that's happened before, then all these people that have been following High Republic will be like, well, this was just a show that took place during High Republic that ended this storyline, kind of anticlimactic. So I don't know if it will be an end, but I think it'll just be a story taking place at the end of that era.
What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I just think it's going to be something to flesh out this era. Give it a sort of visual. Just give this era a visual. Really, everything is in book form. There are some comics.
Oh yeah, a lot of comics.
But giving it a live action visual will help really solidify that timeline in Star Wars, I think.
That's awesome. All right. Ryan Britt. He's from over there at, I think he was writing on Inverse.
Okay.
Inverse.com. He has a really intriguing article. I'll link to all the articles that we're talking about in the show notes so you guys can check it out if you're listening. Where he talks about the Chosen One prophecy. And this is where things get a little interesting because basically he says that the prophecy is all just really complicated. Instead of being as cut and dry. He points out, or he talks about how George Lucas says that it's Anakin, and then Obi-Wan thinks it's Luke, and then it looks like this, the sequel trilogy ends with it being Rey, in a lot of ways. But then here's what's really cool about this book. There's a segment in Star Wars, a new book that's getting ready to come out, Star Wars Skywalker Family Awards by Kristen Baver. She's the host of This Week in Star Wars.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah.
With it. The book is designed to be read. It's a canon driven book. It's designed to be read like an in-universe historical biography of the family. Like there's a historian going back and writing the Skywalker saga, about it. And they've done this in some other franchises from what I understand. But it's when we get to this moment in the story where the death of Qui-Gon Jinn takes place, that and how it impacts Anakin, that we start to see something that sounds really familiar.
Like something we might have said.
It might have something very similar. So here's what the quote is. It's not like word for word, but the idea is something we've talked about. Had Qui-Gon, this is from the book, had Qui-Gon survived and Maul been vanquished, Anakin would have been raised under the watchful, calm tutelage of a seasoned teacher. Although the two would likely have had their disagreements, Qui-Gon's compassion for the former slave might well have brought about a very different outcome. Perhaps Qui-Gon himself would have helped his Padawan return to Tatooine and free the slaves. At the very least, he would have empathized with Anakin's restlessness with the strict Jedi code, offering solutions beyond the scope of Obi-Wan Kenobi's regulation-driven mind. And perhaps Shmi Skywalker would have been saved. So Samuel the Hutt, we've talked a lot on this show about Qui-Gon Jinn's impact on Anakin, especially in our episode back in January when we talked a lot about the Chosen One. I'll link to that in the show notes as well. What do you guys, Sam, what do you think about this idea being explored in official Star Wars canon now?
I really like the idea of it being explored even in universe. Like, I like when we see ordinary citizens ask the questions in universe that we're asking outside of universe.
Yeah.
And then almost sometimes getting explanations for it in universe. We probably won't get that with this, but I like it that there are other people asking this question, like what would have happened, and they did hit a lot of points that we hit.
It's kind of cool, isn't
which,
it?
I mean, not to sit here and pat ourselves on the back, but I guess it goes to show that for the most part, we know what we're talking about when it comes to Star Wars. I think that's safe to say without sounding too prideful. We've got, like, I'm trying to be.
Yeah, no, it almost feels validating to you. I think the right way to say it. You feel validated as someone that has invested hundreds and thousands of hours into Star Wars between podcasting, watching shows, reading books, listening to audiobooks, all playing games, all that kind of stuff. To think that our conversation from a couple of months ago, that idea is in a Star Wars. Yes. And we aren't the only ones who have ever asked this question. And it's all tongue in cheek when we say, they listened to our show and did that. But the point is, I think you just feel validated.
Yes.
Is what you're saying. BB Nate, what do you think about them bringing this into canon?
I'm really excited. I've always wanted to see a what if series in Star Wars. Like what Marvel's doing. Like, what if this happened? I've always loved those ideas of main storylines taking a different path. But I think it's just really fun hearing our ideas come to fruition and, seeing that other people have thought of the things that we have thought about, and people in the industry of Star Wars thought about what we were asking. And so it's really exciting to see all of this stuff, and exciting to see that Star Wars is still a big deal in the novels and the book side. So
yeah.
BB Nate, you've read some comics, Star Wars comics.
I have.
Have you read any Dr. Aphra?
I read the first issue.
It was good, right?
It was. I wanted to get into it, but then I just didn't. Actually, right as I was about to get into Star Wars comics, I made the path to DC, and I'm never going to go back.
Well, the villains of the High Republic era are starting to get retconned into the Age of Empire. And of course, this is clearly a retcon. Right. Dr. Aphra number 8 was released this week. In it, the space archaeologist stumbles upon the wreckage of a Nihil ship from centuries before. Now, what's really interesting about this is when Aphra suggests in this comic, she suggests that the Nihil had long been forgotten. People aren't even talking about them anymore by the time we get to the Age of the Empire, which is curious because we've been led to believe that the Nihil are so evil that they terrify the Jedi of the High Republic. So, Sam, you're raising your head. Is there something much worse than the Nihil coming to the High Republic?
No, I just think it's not uncommon for civilizations to forget things like that. Think like the Huns or something. We don't go about talking about the Huns all the time. We know of them, but it's not really taught a whole lot.
Your mom calls me Hun.
It's a little different.
Oh, okay.
But it's that concept. Just because it was this horrible force in the past doesn't mean we're worried about it now. People forget history all the time. That's kind of the problem sometimes. So
that's just true.
I don't think it's like unrealistic for them to forget about this Nihil.
What do you think?
I think that there might be actually something that Nihil become worse, or maybe the Jedi.
So they like changed to something else?
Yeah, because there are powers that we really don't understand in the High Republic. There's stuff that's not explored at all in the new stuff. And so the Jedi back then, who were just peaceful and didn't have much to worry about, might have been terrified by the idea of this becoming worse. And so I don't really know if these are as terrifying as they're making it out to be, but I know that they did terrify the Jedi. So it's important to not take that lightly. So
no, interesting. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this all plays out. I think that the Acolytes from Beyond could tie in to this with the Acolyte series, which we mentioned earlier in the segment. With it, it'll be fun to see. But until we get some new Star Wars TV on May the 4th, we'll just have to fill the time with all of these books and comics that everybody keeps talking about. Fortunately, there's a lot of it out there and a whole lot more to come.
Yes.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
All right, so Black Widow is delayed till July, and it's actually being released on Disney Plus Premiere. They caved.
Now, I'm not surprised with it. You know, I put out an article on our website today on TatooineSons.com that said there's 200 million reasons why. That's how much it costs to make this film. They need to get as much money out of it as possible. It's already been delayed for well over a year. It's bound to happen. So,
and the a Marvel leak says the mutants are coming to the MCU sooner than we thought. And with Sammy's information, they may be coming really soon with adamantium.
Yeah.
Also, the big deal about adamantium is it's the only thing that can cut vibranium. So, why doesn't Sword? We were asking this question. How were they disassembling Vision? Since he was made out of vibranium.
It could have been adamantium.
It could have been adamantium. Add to adamantium.
Now we got a little WandaVision nugget thrown in there. A big National Treasure series. You know this the movies National Treasure?
The movie series that died about 15 years ago.
It's not that long ago.
15 years?
Maybe 10. National Treasure series is coming to Disney Plus. They announced it this week. It's going to have a different character as the lead, so I don't know how it's going to tie in.
It's going to be like the Adventures of Young Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be, a young Latino woman, from what I understand, but it'll be fun to watch. Yeah, so. All right.
Cool.
Well, thanks for listening to the Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast.
Good job.
This week.
3 weeks in, you finally got it.
Yeah, and if you had a good time listening to us probably going way too long on our segments and just
we did better today.
Goofing around, it would be awesome if you could share this with your friends on socials and just sending them links and all this stuff. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and of course, the podcast, the show itself, is only a small part of the Tatooine Sons world. So be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to get in on all the action and stay updated on the latest pop culture news on TatooineSons.com.
Yeah.
SONS.
SONS. And don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss our next episode. We'll be checking into episode 3 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So listen to that watch that before you listen to the show. And some other fun DC stuff. Maybe we could talk a little DC animation next week, BB Nate. How would you feel about that? He's like, I am down for that. All right. Anything else you guys want to say?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you, always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Joy, please.
Yep, yep.